Shepherding Chaos, the Retail 247 podcast. Embracing change in the world of retail tech.
Hello, I'm Martin Schofield and welcome to another episode of Shepherding Chaos, a gentle look at all things technology and retail. Today I'm joined once again by Richard Surman, Head of IT at Crew Clothing, and we'll just have a little chat about what's happened since last time we spoke. Richard, hello.
Hello, Martin. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent.
Last time we spoke is a number of months ago, maybe a year ago, and we were fairly early into helping you or talking to you about your 3-year technology strategy. What's happened since then? Give us a quick update.
Yeah, it's been fun. We've delivered quite a lot over the last year or so. We've obviously worked with Retail 247 on a number of initiatives and delivering quite a lot of technological enhancements to help speed up and automate a lot of our manual processes within the business. Alongside that, obviously, the 3-year strategy was to work on a replacement to our ERP platform.
Yeah, very brave.
Very brave. We're getting there. We've signed off a new finance system, which was the last piece of the puzzle. We're currently implementing that at the moment with a quite ambitious time frame to deliver that early part of next year. Alongside
That's a retail
of that,
thing, yeah.
That's a retail.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Alongside of that, we're also implementing a new middleware platform to help better automate the functionality and flow of data through our systems to make us a little bit more accurate on the data piece, and also to give us a bit better insights into what our data is across the business. Because we tend to operate off of a lot of different reporting platforms that don't necessarily have the same version.
Yeah, again, that's a retail thing, but yeah,
it is very much so.
I think obviously we've worked with you for the last X years, and I've used the word voyage of discovery a couple of times that I've been talking to people, and you inherited a lot of these legacy systems. So your ERP, your old version of AX, your ERP, I think it's been a mutual adventure of finding out quite what hooked to what and what came out of where, and that's been part of the challenge. But that's kind of what we expected. But I think, has that dictated timescales at all?
I would say it has to an extent. It's definitely delayed things, and that's purely because there's always the unknowns that are out there that you come across when you're unpicking these things. You can have all your architecture documentation and your technical information, but there's always something that is not documented, or it's out of date, or somebody goes, "Oh, well, that's not working anymore."
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So you have to basically change your approach to meet the business demands based upon how critical it is.
Yeah, I've said this before on many podcasts, and anybody that'll listen to me, it's astonishing that we're still talking about retailers having a single view of stock and a single view of product and a single view of customer. This isn't rocket science, but it's good that we're addressing all those things.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest thing, and we may have just talked about it. What's been the hardest thing that we've come across over the last 18 months?
I would say resource has been quite a big problem for us and a challenge, I think, in quite a lot of retailers as well. We have a great team internally who operate the IT function, but we've also had resource challenges across the entire business. And that's predominantly because of the cost of living crisis, etc.
Many crises. Yeah.
People have been offered better jobs elsewhere, got massive pay rises, which have led us to be challenged with how we can deliver. Because if we don't have the resource or technical expertise in-house, or even process expertise in-house from these various departments, we then have to pick up the pieces and try to fathom out how we should be delivering this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, as you mentioned, different departments, it's probably worth mentioning, change management and adoption, because I know things that flex over those 18 months. You as Crew have had new brands brought into the mix, and there's always a need to have a slightly flexible journey as we deliver these things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how do we often talk about imposing process and structure, but then we spend a lot of time talking to individual departments and working out how they do things. It's a fine balance between imposition and accommodation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very true. And retail's a tricky one. I've worked in multiple retail brands. Some of them have quite strict processes and regimented structure. Others work a lot more fluidly. I mean, I would say that Crew are on the fluid side of things. We run at pace.
Yeah.
We just get things
And
done.
it's working for you, yeah.
It works for us at the moment. Don't get me wrong. We do need to instill a certain level of control around that, predominantly to just make sure that we are doing what is expected of us and making sure that we are hitting down on all of the criteria that we need to meet across the business.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we agree on this. I'm sure we've spoken about it in the past, but it's about that. And this is going to sound like a sales pitch, but that's kind of what we do. It's the foundational pieces that need to be robust and core.
Yeah.
And then we just acknowledge the stuff across the top is chaos.
Yeah, indeed.
It's almost disposable to a certain extent, and it's at the whim of the customer. So as long as we've got really rigid stock sales customer information, we can do things.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, the key thing we need to ensure is that we've got consistency of data across the business. That's what's very critical and important.
Yep.
And we need to make sure that all of our systems are talking to one another and disseminating that data out to the appropriate place. I think one of the biggest problems that most retailers face is things get bolted on over the years. And
there's always a new shiny thing to go play with. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it becomes a massive beast that nobody knows or can control. And then you have a big problem unpicking it and trying to figure out what you actually need to replace a solution.
Yeah, and that's the cyclical journey we've been on in our careers, I think. It's like, this is rubbish, let's get a new ERP. And 5 years down the road, this is rubbish, let's get a new. So I kind of want to break that mold somehow and have these central engines, which is what we're trying to do. And then just allow fluidity and flexibility around the periphery. And for example, I was in one of your stores, as you know, the other day. And it was just nice to give the stores some information and some things that work. And they were very appreciative of it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And, as with everything, there are good projects and bad projects. Yeah. We've had our ups and downs, particularly at stores. We've had a few things that haven't gone according to plan that have caused them a bit of a headache, not from a Retail 247 perspective, by the way. And it's being able to deliver something that is more efficient, that gives them reassurance that we are on the right journey as both an IT company and a retail organisation.
And I think you do the same again. It's about listening to those people too, isn't it? Both your head office functions and your store functions. I mean, just chatting to your store manager yesterday, in fact, in Beaconsfield, it's about things that we could do that we might not have thought of that would be really simple for us to implement that would make a big difference to their lives.
Definitely. Yeah. One of the things that I try to advocate across my department and the rest of the business is talk to people, have a listen to how they work, what they do on a day-to-day basis, and just mull it over and think about what we could do to be more efficient in certain areas. I try to do it quite a lot. I don't do it as much as I'd like to, purely because it's, a time thing. But one thing I do like to deliver to a business is the capability to enhance and improve the laborious day job into more meaningful tasks. Yeah,
no, there's nothing more disappointing than watch somebody key from one computer document to another one or to another screen. We should do better. Must do better.
I've been there and done that.
Yeah, no, haven't we all? Yeah, we need to fix it. So what's next on the roadmap? Where are we?
So, right, what can I talk about here? So we're obviously enhancing and developing the Retail 247 systems, Origin and Archean. So from an Origin perspective, we're doing the digital asset management piece. We're integrating with the website. We're looking at additional channel partners, which will have a bearing on Retail 247's deliverability. Archean side of things, we're introducing allocation, replenishment, purchase orders. From a store tablet point of sale perspective, we're enhancing that solution. We're introducing a new version of the whole software application to the stores. It's pretty much the same, just a more improved look and feel, makes the journey a lot easier for the store staff. We're also introducing a gift card solution, cash taking capability on the tablets to get rid of that.
Yeah, the cash was what we talked about before, isn't it? That then lets you get rid and move forward.
Yeah. So it's all on the journey to get rid of Dynamics AX, which the plan is next year we are getting rid come hell or high water.
Obviously, then.
Well, exactly. Sorry. Obviously, the finance system and the middleware platform will also be very key to that. we're also looking at what we can do to enhance and improve our website capabilities, more integration into that, to our back-end systems, so integrating our tablets to our web to allow for mixed basket ordering in store, stuff like that. So trying to improve the customer journey a little bit more next year.
One thing, because obviously my background's the same as yours in essence, but one thing that's changed dramatically for us, and the reason we write these products now, is the modern technical architecture lets us do so much more. And I know you mentioned replenishment there.
Yeah.
Whilst it's a piece of work and it's relatively complicated, it's not rocket science, but the main reason we're doing it is because we can probably process that in 5 minutes, whereas it's like 3 hours overnight.
Yeah. It should be a lot easier than it actually is.
Yes.
Yeah. And it does frustrate me our existing system takes so long to process what should be such a simple.
And one of those foundational pieces I mentioned earlier that needs to just work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to be woke up at 2 a.m. Say replenishment's not working, which does happen. Yeah.
Good. So that's the journey so far. Any sort of predictions or bright ideas for the future? There's the typical what does the high street look like question, but what's retail going to look like what's the next 3-year strategy, Richard?
Yeah. So I mean, from a retail perspective, there's the whole debate about, is the high street dead, blah, blah, blah. We aren't seeing that trend. We're still very focused on bricks and mortar stores along with the digital experience.
Yeah.
But obviously one of the things that we need to try to do from a retailer is adapt and change to customers' buying habits, which is why we are starting to look more and put more focus on the channel partners, get our name out there on different platforms and different marketing capabilities. Obviously, to do all that, we need to make sure that technically we're capable of doing it. And what I've been trying to do is deliver an architecture that can allow us to grow and expand with the retail business. Next 3 years, the big thing that is going to be coming from our side is predominantly around the customer journey, improve customer analytics across the business, making sure that we are being a bit more personable to the customer.
Yeah.
So when they come in, we know who we're talking to.
Yeah.
We know their purchase history. When we market to the customer, let's give them more relevant information instead of sending out a blanket email of, we got 20 quid off jumpers today. You might buy polo tops. Let's give you a focused promotion on polo tops. Obviously, we don't want to distract from the rest of the product range, but we need to make sure that we are better targeting what customers are looking for.
Do you do much currently with the sort of social influencers world? Because obviously I noticed you got the new golf range on there.
Indeed, yes.
So that's a sort of targeted proposition that you need adoption, and particularly with the Pringle brand that's going to be on board.
Absolutely.
The potential for pushing that at a certain segment is going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things as part of our Crew Sport range, we have quite a few ambassadors. So we've got a couple of golf ambassadors, tennis ambassador, etc.
Yeah.
We've also got a number of influencers that we work very closely with to introduce the brand and also push the mainstream product forward as well. It's very important, the social element. We've just launched a TikTok channel, so that's a new one. Yeah, so that's going great guns.
Yeah.
So it's all just keeping up to date.
Yes, and that cycles back to the point I made earlier. That's about the peripheral changes. There's always something new to go to, but the fundamental principles are still underpinning it, and that's the key.
Well, indeed, yeah, and it's how customers' shopping habits have changed as well. Like Facebook Marketplace or buying products through Instagram or TikTok. That's the thing these days, whereas it wasn't previously.
You're sounding old, Richard.
I am very old, yes. Yeah. But I mean, you have to change with the times, and God knows what's going to come next off the back of all of this, but we need to make sure that we're ready to gear up for it.
Good. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Great, Richard. Thank you very much as always. I think that's a good little shot for today, and we will revisit where we are in another year's time, maybe.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.